We'll see how this goes.
Ooh.
Shoulder.
No idea where that one's in.
Not terrible for the first time.
No, heck no.
The heavy smack.
Yeah, the overcorrection right at the point of detachment. It's never a good sign.
No.
Come on, dial this one in there, would you?
Oh, I'm in there. Top left.
Yeah.
All right, we're in the backyard this morning having some fun shooting the bows. We got the whole crew with us. We got our 2 new interns, Ben and Jacob. We got Gavin, Grant, Max, and myself. We're just having some fun doing a little shooting. The guys just got their bows yesterday, or just got them set up yesterday. And so getting them sighted in a little bit. But one thing coming off of last week's topic of buck fever that I want to dive into with these guys is the topic of target panic. And obviously those are very different topics, but they can sometimes play hand in hand. When you're shooting at a live animal, you can have that target panic too. So I'm gonna pick these guys' brains on it a little bit. It'll be kind of fun to hear what they've battled, just how they've overcome it, or what they still try to do to overcome it. So kind of a fun topic that we'll get into today.
Let's see it, Ram.
Go, go, go! Shoot that ball!
Come stand right here.
Oh, close.
Right over his back. You got him. Right in the head. I'll tell you, doesn't have target panic. Right here. Just draw back and let it rip. Oh. So obviously target panic, you know, I've talked to a lot of people about it. I personally haven't fought it. I mean, maybe had some minor bouts with it, but it's just not something I have a ton of experience with, so I'm not the greatest teacher. I'm not saying I'm the greatest shot in the world, it's just I just don't panic on the targets. There's times where I don't shoot as well, but it's usually not due to that. But I'm so interested because there's a lot of different kinds of target panic, and people do different things to try to fight it, or you know, different things that initiate it. What is it for you? Is it you know, a hard time keeping the pin on your target? Are you trying to like drop it in or move your pin into the spot?
Yeah, it's totally for me is I draw and get settled in. My pin is like above the target, and it's like the hardest thing ever. It's a complete mental battle to bring your pin. Like say if it's a deer, it's not like crazy high, but I'd say upon a deer, it's like top of the back. So if you're talking about a maybe 12-inch window to the
That's where you
vitals.
start dropping it down?
No, that's like where that pin naturally goes.
Okay.
When I get to settle, and then it's everything I can do to bring it that last 12 inches.
So you
it's almost like
intentionally try to
pulling
bring it down into it.
I try to, but what has come about of that in the last little while is, in the last few years, is that almost a swing shot.
Right.
So you almost like, I give up and it's like, my bow, I just let it fall.
You try
and
to
as
almost
the pin
time the
passes
trigger.
it, yeah, it's terrible.
Do you ever try to just get locked in on the target without coming down on it?
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of things that have, like, one thing that's helped is I'd bring that pin down and then like, all right, now move my finger toward the trigger. That just failed me terribly. So now it's like get your finger around that trigger, even start putting a little bit of pressure, not much, but well before I even verify my peep or look at my bubble level. Get that knocked out of the way first, because that's almost like what puts that little bit of extra thing in my head. So like I said, it gets better over time. One thing that helped this past year, and I think I was even talking to Owen about it last summer. I was battling pretty good, so he's asking me when I go through my process, what am I looking at? And so am I looking at my pin or the target? Because you can't physically focus, just like a camera can't focus on both things at once. You know, they're way different. My pin's way up here in my face and the target's way down there, so taking the focus off of one, I go back and forth between which one's better, and I'm sure there's a right or wrong. I think if I'm looking at the target, kind of in my peripheral, I'm kind of looking at the pin. That helps a ton.
Can you do both though? Like you can pick and choose which one is in focus? Because I've heard of some people that can't. Like
Yeah,
some
I
people
can.
that struggle,
Oh,
like
I
always
can-
just have to do target or always
No,
just have
I
to do
can
pin.
like I can change it from the time I draw. I can have my eyes
So you have
focused
that
on the
control
pin,
at least.
and everything's blurry, and I can switch it just like a camera, I guess.
Really? That's how I am. When I draw, I have to have my focus on the target rather than my
Not the
pin.
pin. I think the
So
pin.
your pin is blurred out.
Yeah, my
The
pin's
pin is
blurred
what
out.
gives me I think the anxiety, because in my peripheral I'm like, is it there? It's like it covers up my spot and then bang. So if I can just focus on the target and letting that pin hover. Another thing I was working on last year is obviously nobody, even the best shooters in the world, are strong enough or good enough to just make their pin just sit.
Right.
So like, what really helped last year is either figure eights or like vertical figure eights or horizontal. Actually trying to draw the shape. Somebody told me last year, and it helps like crazy. It takes some serious amount of focus.
Yeah.
And it's probably not something I'd want to do a ton in the woods, but like as far as practicing, drawing
I feel
figure
like I
eights.
do that anyway without trying.
But if you can keep, I think if anything you can do to keep your like almost mind busy when you're first trying to break the habit, because all it is it's like a reaction to when that pin gets to where you want, and you're just trying to set your bow off. There's a ton of things. I mean, I told you earlier how if you look at the difference in Grant and I's release, mine is all the way in,
Right.
to where it's almost on my second knuckle.
Yeah, and it increases the importance of being able to float that pin on the target too, or having some type of process there, because if you're really trying to execute a true surprise release, that method you're talking about coming down into it and timing it, it's not going to work. Or any type of timing isn't going to work if you're truly executing a surprise release. So it increases the importance of floating your pin, and that's one thing that I think a lot of people with target panic fight that. They want their pin to just lock in and not move at all, and when they see their pin start moving around, that's when the panic initiates.
It's not possible.
Yeah, it's
I mean, you
you
can be
almost
a
have to just
strong-
accept that that's the way to shoot. That's the way
Yeah.
that it has to be.
Really good rifle shooters too. I mean, luckily I grew up shooting a lot more rifles than bows. Your crosshairs are never just gonna stop. If you're shooting, even if you're prone, all this kind of things, like there's some float in there. You can obviously, like, breathing helps in archery just like it does in firearms. I think what has killed me is this, I feel like there's two different sections of shooting. Like, I don't really like to blind bale shoot, you know, like almost you're shooting in a bale hay or whatever you're doing with your eyes closed. I don't like that because I don't like separating. I guess that works if you're trying to really focus on creating that surprise release. But then I can master that in 5 minutes, but then as soon as I open my eyes and I see that pin again, it's back. So I want to try to fight it all at once.
I feel like that's more of a form practice. What's so interesting is target panic is this mental thing. Like it's very much a psychological event. But all of us and everyone that battles it has all these little physical things that they're trying to do to break that mental thing. And so that's why it's so interesting to talk about, because everyone has their own little physical thing that they're doing to try to fight this mental event that they face when shooting. So
What I try to do, or what I end up doing, is when I draw, I try to start way high, and at least brings me a little bit closer to where
at least you
I'm
got
trying
gravity to work with.
but yeah, for the most part, I start way low, and it takes me forever. It feels like forever to bring it all the way up. And as soon as that pin hits that mark, I pull the trigger.
So let's talk quick about like just the quick process that you go through when you come to full draw. For me, I get the pin close to where I'm aiming, and then next thing I look at is the sight housing inside the peep.
Yeah.
And then next thing I look at is a bubble level, and then I get to the pins. Is that a similar process as you guys, or what do you do? When do you do each step?
I feel like I start with my bubble. I feel like, and then I go to the housing, which probably shouldn't be. That should be opposite.
Yeah, maybe.
Whatever works for you.
Now that I'm thinking about it, yeah.
I think I'm housing way before I even worry about where my pin is out there. I want to get to anchor and everything feeling good way before I start aiming.
Yeah, I definitely use my pin as my last
Yeah,
step,
for sure. I got like I don't know if I like scrunch my face or something, but I like tuck my knuckles up under, so I'm like always moving a little bit when I first come to draw. I just want to settle into some solid anchor first.
The anchor part I don't necessarily consciously think about, but the other ones I do. I get the pin somewhere close, then the centering of the housing, then the level, and then like a more intense focus on the pin.
Even when you're in the woods?
Yeah.
Or
Yeah. I mean, I look at those same thing. It doesn't take very long. It's quick, you know, but it is a very distinguished step process. One thing, just from hearing you guys talk, that I do quite a bit different than you guys. You know, you guys have some type of method of bringing the pin into where you're aiming. I go straight to it. I don't come up. I don't go down. I go straight to it.
I cannot physically do that. That's impossible
I have
for
to
me.
try it to know what's going on.
You can't mentally
that's
do
just
it.
like,
Yeah.
subconsciously, when you come to, like, that pin's just there already, like it's close. All of ours is somewhat like.
But I don't have a block to get it there. You know what I mean? Like it's floating the whole time for sure. But I just go right to where I'm aiming. I don't try to come down into it or go up into it.
God, that's
I
just
wish I could.
nice.
That'd be so nice.
So you've tried it and it doesn't work?
I can't do it.
Well, it's not that it just happens. Like when maybe if I like try to draw at the ground, then it would
That's
be
what I try to
different.
do. I try to draw way high, but I still end up low. But it's closer to where I'm trying to aim, but it's still low.
Maybe I should try drawing low. I do know that drawing straight, you know, like nothing crazy, helps a ton. I think I'm those two. They're just.
That's trying to get an arrow back. That's all he went over there.
Before I moved out here, I would take a ping pong ball, because I had a ping pong table. I would cut a ping pong ball in half and stick it in with a sewing needle on a deer target, and that's all I'd shoot at ever.
He wants to go to the block.
Okay, let's see if he can panic or not.
Because I think shooting at that deer helps me a lot.
See, I want to see what Grant's like hand does.
Trigger.
Yeah, he's reaching all the way.
Man, this is high pressure.
Man, this is high pressure.
That looked kind of good. I didn't see it.
A little low. It's like those videos where a guy's on the tee box and his partners are chirping at him to try to get him to back off. Trying to get Grant to butt down.
Yeah.
So, obviously I'm not the greatest teacher when it comes to target picking, just because I don't have a lot of personal experience with it. But I will say, if I make a bad shot, it's almost always due to I don't know the reason, but I know the solution is holding my follow through longer. Like I try to tell myself, it's not possible obviously because you release the string, but try to watch the arrow hit from the same aiming point. I find when I make bad shots, I'm getting out of my peep too quick and not following through with the shot. But if I'm really focus on holding that and trying to watch the arrow hit from the same spot I just looked through in the peep, I do a lot better.
It's incredibly difficult if I'm coming from the top down.
I think it's fascinating to hear different people because it's different across the board, but it's very, very, very common.
I know personally, for me, volume has never helped.
Volume of shooting.
It doesn't help at all. Like I was saying earlier, right now I'm almost wasting if I'm like really battling, I'm almost wasting my time. I do well at I recognize it. Sometimes and I won't even say I battle it every day. I have some really good days where I'll go out. I'm like, wow, this is good. But then as soon as it starts, it's almost like I gotta be done. Because then I'm just gonna
I've heard
make
of
it
that
worse.
too. I've heard of guys like overcoming it for a year and think they have it beat, and then it creeps right back in.
So the only thing that helps you then is moving the target really close.
Yeah, like I literally go up there and I'm not even worried about aiming at all. I'm just like, or go up really close, and then you could also worry about aiming, but you're so close. Like that pin is just not gonna leave that spot. It's just not really possible. I don't know which one's like more important, the surprise release part or like the aiming part. I would say probably like the aiming side of it.
I think the aiming. I think the surprise release, I don't know, I feel like the surprise release is more of a technique for accurate shooting.
Yeah, like
than
target
it is
shooting.
a target panic, you know, fighting thing. I think it can help and they work together, but I think the pin thing is really the biggest target panic thing, is the target acquisition and where your pin is at relative to that.
What's so wild is that I can, without my finger on that trigger, I can just be locked in. That's it's frustrating. I mean, I can sit here and hold that pin right in that wheelhouse. It's amazing. And it's moving like a couple inches left and right.
That's what I'm saying. I think, I mean, that's the definition of target panic, 100%.
And I did it even still there. And as soon as I move my finger up there, it's like, nope, there goes that pin right to where it belongs, right at the top of his back.
So building off of that, I've also heard of people that they'll come out on the range and do exactly that, won't ever put their finger, never shoot, just draw back, hold it, let down. Draw back, hold it, let down.
Is that the ticket?
It's like, that's kind of like muscle repetition type training.
So without even their finger on the trigger, they just never let that shot break. I don't even know if I could do that. I feel like I'd have to set it off.
I think it'd be more beneficial if you had your finger on the trigger and never.
And you'd almost like get a dummy one that can't go off.
Yeah.
And then I'd be over here
Like really, make it really, really tight.
You could see me over here just mashing on it, trying to get it to go off.
All right, we're gonna finish up with just a little bit of a game just to really ignite that target panic. How much anxiety we can give them with this side of the block. We'll figure out a game, but maybe each have an aiming dot. We'll see how the target panic sets in with this.
That was like out of Braveheart right there.
Ooh.
I'm in the top of the target. Not even. Good start, kid. Good start.
Were you aiming at this one?
Maybe. What I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna panic, but I'm gonna time it really well. And it's gonna slide right into the 12. What are you doing?
Grant's leading because he keeps turning the target towards him.
What does 2 in the same dot count for? Nothing.
I'm gonna say a negative on that.
Of course you are. Can we get a non-biased ruling? How many you got, Grant?
2.
Ooh, we're all at 2. Well, I'm at 2.5.
Ah!
Oh man.
Oh!
Ball game?
Might be in there, I don't know.
Alright, here we go. Slight breeze from the south. Heavy target panic settling in. I can't get it up. Ah!
Nope, that was so bad.
I think I even came into your row there.
Panic so bad.
I
the same-
none of mine.
With 3 arrows.
I think we got a shoot off.
That's what I was hoping not to have to get into. It's high as crap.
Let's do that.
Yeah. He's a little left, but folks. Oh, he's even in it. Dadgummit. He remains the champion of nothing.
Well, as you can see, we had some fun today. It's good to get out and shoot, and it's fascinating to hear how different people approach target panic, how they combat it, the things they think about, things they do. If you guys have questions or suggestions even based on your own experience, please feel free to let us know. I think it's always cool to hear those different perspectives. So thank you guys for joining. We'll see you next week.